In 2020, an unprecedented epidemic has disrupted global economic activities and lifestyles. In mid-January, when everyone was happily welcoming the Lunar New Year, MEANWELL has already sensed an unusual atmosphere. On January 20, Ellen Lu, the general manager of Suzhou MEANWELL, heard about the pneumonia outbreak in Wuhan, China. Since there were cases of person-to-person transmission, he immediately called headquarters to discuss relevant epidemic prevention measures.
1月20号那个时候，那我是收到了这个政府的一个网络上的一个朋友圈，那时候卫冠署发布了一个命令，那就是说将新冠状病毒列入传染病防治法。那时候已经知道会人传人了。那我们当初有处理 SARS 的经验，说真的，那时候也觉得蛮恐怖的，所以我立即呢召集了所有的干部，并且把这个情报回报到我们的集团。
At 11 p.m. on January 21st, after an in-depth evaluation of the epidemic, the president of MEANWELL, Jerry Lin, has instructed that an announcement should be issued immediately to remind employees that they should not visit Wuhan during the holidays. On January 23rd, the day before New Year's Eve, Wuhan announced the city to be locked down. Nearly 10 million Wuhan residents were unable to travel. It feels a pause button has been pushed. On January 28th, Ellen Lu received a phone call saying that Wuhan is urgently need medical power supplies and hope MEANWELL could provide emergency assistance.
武汉的一家公司，它是做红外线摄影量测温度的，它透过了政府找到了我们民委，时间已经是春节，是1月28号。那我们在29号立即请员工调公司所有能够库存出货的部分，我们承诺他在我们开工之后，我们第一优先把生产我们防疫电源做个顺序的一个调整。
On January 29th, MEANWELL's headquarters held a top management's meeting on WeChat group to set up an epidemic prevention deployment and response team. Kevin Chen, the chief of operations, was assigned as the head of the epidemic prevention team and officially introduced epidemic prevention measures. On January 30th, our Taiwan factory has reopened unscheduled and set up an epidemic prevention site on MEANWELL's website to provide daily updates on the latest epidemic status, the factory recovery situations, and prevention countermeasures. Since February 3rd, MEANWELL has launched a series of prevention videos, including videos promoting employees' epidemic prevention, cheer Wuhan, as well as honoring medical personnel and caring for our reliable partners. On February 10th, our Guangzhou and Suzhou factory has started operations, and our top managers have returned to our factory in advance to direct and guide our recovery.
所以其实我们很快的在工厂还在准备复工那个当下，我们已经先第一时间跟这个海外的所有客户去说明说民委现在准备状况是怎么样。
在2月10号复工，然后一直到3月底，所有员工都到齐了。
广州民委是这个区域最早开工的企业，在开工之前呢，就依照国家的复工防疫标准执行作业。
2月10号开工我们的复工率大概只有50%。到2月底的时候，那我们的复工率已经有90%。
On March 6th, MEANWELL held their first online partners meeting, inviting distributors and suppliers from Greater China to participate. As the epidemic spreads throughout the world, many countries have announced lockdown of their cities. MEANWELL has intensified the work of their epidemic prevention groups. Every Monday morning, their epidemic response team regularly meets to discuss epidemic prevention countermeasures and closely watches its global spread as well as the recovery progress of the supply chain.
自从3月中，东南亚各国都陆续的锁国封城，马来西亚、新加坡、印尼、泰国也不例外。疫情期间，我们服务不间断。陆续的提供关怀给我们的经销伙伴，也提供技术资源。
Since March 17th, Meanwhile, Europe and meanwhile USA employees started to work from home, while their logistic and warehouse maintained normal operations. At this time, the confirmed cases and number of deaths increased dramatically, while medical power supplies and epidemic prevention equipment are urgently needed. Meanwhile, Guangzhou and meanwhile Suzhou started to provide surgical masks to overseas branches and customers.
At that time, immediately we received thousands of masks from Suzhou factory. Our employees appreciate it a lot. They do not have to worry where to get masks for work and also for their daily lives. In turn, we also pass over masks to our customers and partners. When we call them, you can feel they appreciated our care. And that voice is not just the mask that we send to them, it was the appreciation of true partnership that we care for each other.
At the early beginning of the pandemic, personal protective equipment such as masks have a terrible shortage. Luckily, we received great support from our MEANWELL Guangzhou factory, providing those masks to MEANWELL USA. After we received the mask from Guangzhou, we quickly reached out to our partners in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Asked them if they need the mask for their employees or even for their families. We want to let them know we are here to help and we care.
Until the end of March, meanwhile China has achieved 100% recovery. All factories sped up to catch up with production capacity. European and American governments have also gathered industrial professionals to organize national teams to provide respirators, while meanwhile Europe and meanwhile USA have continued to receive urgent orders for medical power supplies.
这一段时间我们确实是收到，忽然有很多不同的管道、不同的国家、不同经销商在询问很紧急的订单，可能2个礼拜就要交货，4个礼拜就要交货。有的就是各种形式，民委都有的这种产品里面都有人在询问。
On April 7th, in order to fulfill urgent orders for medical power supplies, meanwhile adjusted its production lines and expanded its emergency work capacity. All the factories have worked overtime to keep up with production capacity. Meanwhile issued a letter promoting the idea of one component can save one life to seek support from their partners.
In mid-April, the most scary thing of the day was to open my email box. There were lots of emails regarding to urgent medical demand for critical application. If customer needs a standard part, we must allocate and coordinate globally the existing stock. What if it's a non-standard part? We have to wait for the new production. I must say I was really amazed how everything worked out. When we called distributors for such project, everyone volunteered to give out their stock to support those cases. All our colleagues volunteered to rework standard parts to support the production plan of the customer. That was why my colleagues EXO changed our meeting room into a small production line, so the sales colleagues could work through the weekend to modify product for their customers.
MEANWELL is the few power supply manufacturer that have the ability to quickly restore our production back to the normal level. It was critical because one power supply can save one life. We have some products that are medically certified and largely being used to build life-saving medical equipment, such as ventilators, hospital beds, etc. Stabilizing the production lead time helps to recover the industry confidence.
我们在这个复工的速度上面，跟这个有序性的这个上面，其实在市场上这段时间可能大家都可以去打听得到，说哪一个电源供应器厂能够开始真的是可以去交比较大量的货。
When the world is facing a crisis of supply chain breakage, the stagnation of logistics, and the extension of lead time, MEANWELL has demonstrated a high level of solidarity and flexibility. It has overcome difficulties and achieved its mission. We all recognize that one power supply represents one life.
We have a customer who make portable X-ray machine that required building some of the product urgently for the New York City. The power supply they are looking for is out of stock, and there's no time for them to wait. Our sales and engineering team quickly identify a possible solution to rework some of our stocking power supply locally in Fremont so that they can build their product on time to save more lives.
On April 20th, MEANWELL initiates its recovery plan, and due to its branch's compliance with local regulation and strict anti-epidemic measures, it has gradually implemented relevant recovery plans. In addition to suspend and review its original annual plan, we also added new projects and restored our normal delivery period.
The period of time, some customers' cash flow was impacted, so we supported them with longer payment terms. Our accountant and auditors were shocked, and they said, "Coleman, how dare you do it?" I told them, at MEANWELL, we do not use credit insurance, or we don't use credit report. We build up the relationship by trust. Of course, we monitor the payment behavior and the market situation and all that. But the partnership is really, really important. We rely on each other. Customers need us, and also we need the customers.
Facing an unprecedented and critical moment, MEANWELL displays its brand spirit of good intentions, while influencing our partners with a fearless attitude and the power of stability. Like the fearless Guan Yu sculpture created by the well-known Taiwanese artist Luo Guanwei, the meaning that it conveys is profound and worthy of our attentive experience.
做这件无惧关公作品的意义呢？为什么是一手这个在天，一手在地？它代表的就是顺天应地。在我们武功学里面呢，掌就代表文，权就代表武，所以叫做文武双全，传承中。所以当时关圣帝君给我的这个感应就是顺天应地，大有无惧，文武双全。传承中义，四维彰显，八德弘扬，再造乾坤，万世流芳。整个作品上呢，它可以注意看一下，它是一个 S 字的造型。这个 S 呢，就像我们这个太极图里面的这个 S， 就是有一点扭转劣势、扭转乾坤这样的一个寓意在里面。所以我想，针对现在这样的一个疫情，可能当时他给我的一个灵感就是，已经预想到现在这样的一个疫情。希望大家就是都能够扭转这样的一个劣势，来共同的度过这样的一个疫情。
在这疫情期间，我们秉持心怀善意、关怀伙伴，提供稳定力量，促进产业复原。我们深切了解，缺一颗零件就无法生产，那唯有产业复原才会有订单，唯有经济复苏了，大家才能过正常生活。
As a global corporate citizen, MEANWELL has accompanied global customers and the local governments to provide assistance, medical equipment, and power supplies, while also promoting their overall industrial recovery plan in an orderly manner. This epidemic has taught us a precious lesson. Fear has enabled us to see fearless love, and helplessness has allowed us to see the power of mutual support.
这个西班牙经销商 offer 一个订单的紧急需求是一个 GSM 的这个 medical adapter。那我记得我们在利用这个 EMEA 的这个有点像这个经销商会议，像有2-3家经销商就很快速的就跟这个 offer 就是提供了他们就是可以提交的这个 adapter。
Our partner offer in Spain, they also spent a week reworked thousands of parts for the Spanish ventilator production team, even for parts not sold by them. When I called Fernando at offer, I told him that he wrote a piece of history in the Spanish history.
The epidemic will eventually end, and we will return to normal life. After this epidemic ends, the world will always remember the year of 2020. We have fought well in this war together.
Tokyo sales team, I'm ready.
MEANWELL Korea, we can make it.
明伟加油，越南加油。
MEANWELL ASEAN, we can make it. Think positive, win together.
We can make it. We are ready.
MEANWELL